Hi guys, so let's talk about future predictions today because I woke up and I'm like, I gotta talk about it. So that's what I'm gonna be doing right now. So let's get to it. Let me sit down, then we're gonna get to it. So why future readings sometimes don't work? The reason is in quantum physics and technically our world, the way it works, right? So um, remember in quantum physics, the observer changes, the observer actually affects the results. And that's like mind blowing, right? Because before we thought, stuff exists without our influence, right? But after the quantum physics came into play, we know that stuff actually we influence the stuff, right? The observer influences the result. It sees the result, it perceives the result. So depending on how we perceive it, depending on our expectation, depending on a lot of things, the result can change. So it's really hard to control it. So when you watch tarot reading, when you watch future tarot reading, whenever you know your future, it changes everything because you're the observer, and once you know this information can be possibly changed. Because what happens usually when people watch tarot readings, right, and they see some information, they can experience some emotions. So whenever you experience emotions, you bring into situation this emotion. So let's say you watch the tarot reader and they told you, okay, in half a year you will have millions of dollars, right? You're like, yay, finally. Now I'm gonna go celebrate. So you're really excited, you're happy, of course, but and that's a case where you don't want, not that you don't want to be happy, but if you know your future, if you know that you will be a millionaire, right? What would you do? You're gonna sit on your chair and you're like, you know what, I will be a millionaire soon anyway, so I'm not gonna do anything. And that's how you change your future. You know that this is a possibility, you know that this will be your end result. And in this situation, if you didn't know, you would have done probably, you worked your ass off, you were like, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna achieve this, and possibly might be you could be a millionaire in half a year, right? But when you just sit and do nothing and like, okay, the universe will give me everything that I want, and my tarot reader told me I'm gonna be a millionaire soon. Nothing is changing because you're not doing any action. The same can be with negative, right? So if you, let's say you watch something and you have some negative connotation to it. So let's say tarot reader told you you will be a millionaire, and you're like, yeah, sure. I mean, yeah, I know those tarot readers, they are all liars, nothing is true. So you give negative attention to the situation, you bring negative connotation to the situation, and again, the situation, the future is changing based on your experience, based on your choice, because you're making the choice, right? You're making the choice not to do something, you're making the choice to do something, so knowing your future. And that's why so many people tell, even in spirituality world, they tell you it's better not to know your future. Me, I rarely do future readings, and I rarely try to find out future for myself. Why? Because I know that as soon as I know, it will probably change. And for me, it's like, I mean, they told me millions of dollars, now it's not happening. It's very upsetting. So when you know that kind of stuff, it actually, puts the responsibility on you. And what if you know it's something negative, right? So let's say the tarot reader tells something like, well, blah blah blah, and this is gonna happen, and that stuff gonna happen, bad stuff. So you're consciously preparing for it, and once you consciously prepare for it, you're attracting it with your thoughts, with your actions, with your attitude, right? So you're attracting those kind of situations. So basically it's a chicken and egg situation. Because you don't know whether you attracted it because someone told you that it's gonna happen, or it happened because it was meant to happen, right? So where is the truth? And you don't know the truth, because it can be either or. It can be programming. So why I'm a hypnotherapist, so I know a lot about subconscious programming. So I'm gonna tell you from experience. So if the reader if the person is giving you the reading is very experienced, if they know how to work with people, if they know how to work with energy, if they know how to work with words, every word can be subconscious programming from them. And also, if you're very sensitive to information, if you receive information easily without filtering, right, that can be true as well. So even if the reader is not that experienced or not that good with subconscious programming, still you can pick it up because you're not filtering it, you're not choosing consciously, you're like boom, and then you take everything to yourself, right? So my advice when you watch tarot readings, first of all, know why you're watching. Are you watching because you want to receive, like good feeling, like everything is gonna be okay, the kind of escapism, right? And those readings, I'm gonna talk about it a little bit later, those readings are good as well, but to a certain point. Or are you watching the reading because you want to know that person cares about you, loves you, has emotions for you, right? So that kind of puts a band-aid on your wound, right? Wound. So it kind of puts a band-aid on your wound, but it's not solving the situation. So that's why I do readings where we dig deeper, where we try to see the emotions the person is experiencing, or the person that is watching experiencing, so they can figure out why this happened in the first place, why this problem is going on, what is going on with the situation, what can they change in order to change the situation. Because if you just watch a reading and someone tells you, well, everything is gonna be perfect, you're not changing inside internally, you're not changing your thought process, you're not changing anything. And what they tell you, if you do the same thing over and over, similar way, right? If you do it the same way all the time, why would it change? You gotta do something different. And that's what we do different. We dig deep and see what is stopping us from doing or achieving or getting somewhere where we want to be. So in the end, emotional response, any kind of response, it changes your future. So if you like, meh, it will change the future, and you don't know how. So it's it can be very complicated. So then you have you ask me a question probably, or a question comes in your mind like, Nadia, so why some readings come true, right? I had the emotional response, or I saw the reading, or someone gave me the reading, right? And then it all came true. Like why? And I had emotions, I had feelings during this time. So why this happening? So it kind of contradicting, right? So you're probably not telling me the truth. So let's dive deep a little bit into that, and I'm gonna explain it's not clear cut and simple. Nothing in life is clear cut and simple. And if you still believe that world is black and white, well, I'm gonna give you heads up, it's all kinds of shades of gray. Not black, not white, all kinds of shades of gray, all the spectrum. So and other colors as well. I like different colors. Colorful world is pretty awesome. So let's get into why, even though you experienced the emotion, why it came true anyway. And there are a few reasons for that. So we're gonna start with I put a list for me so I remember to mention everything, because sometimes I start talking and I'm gonna get here and here, and then I go somewhere else, and then I forget half of the stuff that I'm supposed to talk about. Okay, so let's do the first one. So it's your program, so it's your soul program, it's your life destiny, right? It's whatever it is. So there are two things about it. There's program that there are different kinds of beliefs, right? But we all believe in destiny. So there's some things, that is what I believe. You don't believe, that's fine too. I mean, that's my opinion on it. There's types of things that we are supposed to experience in our life, right? So when we come here on earth, that has to be our experience, so we learn from it. So it's kind of destiny that says that you have to go through in order to grow as a person. And there's stuff that we can actually choose. So we can choose our path, and also there's situations in our life that supposed to happen anyway. No matter what you do, no matter how you want to change it, they will happen. It's for your own good, even though sometimes it doesn't feel like it, but they will happen. So it depends on it. So if it's your programming, it's your programming for your life, right? So it will happen. And no matter what you experience, good, bad, or don't experience anything at all, this will happen to you. So how would you know? You wouldn't. There's no way to say, well, this is by programming, that's why it will happen, and this is not, that's why it will not happen. That's a beautiful part about it. We don't know anything about our future. We can predict it to a certain point, but it can be so many ways. It can go either way, so we're not gonna know whether it's our programming that we're supposed to go through or not. Let me get another point. So the suggestions done. So as I told you guys, remember a few minutes ago, it's suggestions are done in the very hypnotic state. So programming, right? So programming, subconscious programming. So in the cards, the voice, the timbre of voice, there other things that you use, distraction, professionals know how to do it. So if you use those kind of deepening technique that puts you in a deeper state of the acceptance of trance, so that's where you're very susceptible to suggestions that person gives you. And that's how hypnosis works. But in hypnosis, right, we use only suggestions that client suggestions. So when the client comes, they say like, well, I want this, and I want this, and in hypnosis we're like, you're gonna have this, this, and this. Not you going to have, you have it right now. That's very important. So you have it, this, and this. But if you are in a hypnotic state, if you're very suggestible by your nature, which also can be true, it's very easy for your subconscious to soak in the information and take it as it is, and then kind of materialize it in your world. So that's the way it is, and it's subconscious programming. You can program yourself, other people can program for you. So you gotta learn about it, and you watch some videos about hypnosis and subconscious programming, because it's very, very important. And if you're interested, I have another channel about hypnosis, and I talk about other stuff as well. So feel free, I'm gonna leave it in the description. Feel free to follow as well. So, and sometimes, professionals like tarot readers, mediums, and something like that, sometimes they do it consciously, and sometimes they do it unconsciously, right? So they don't know what they're doing, they just, they're doing some sounds and noises and something like this, and they start moving. And when I move like this for a very long time, you will start getting into a little trance. And then you will, because this distraction, this movement, this repetitive movement is from hypnosis. That's what gets you into a little bit deeper state, and then a little bit deeper. So some people, they don't even know that they're doing, or they get into trance themselves because they need to do the channeling, right? And those are the actions that they do, and they don't know that some information can be taken by client very seriously, like by subconscious very seriously, so they might not be filtering the words. They might be saying something that you don't want to listen to, right? So that's why it's very important to observe your state, and it's very important to ask yourself every time you watch a tarot reading, does it apply to me? Do I want it in my life? Does it apply to my life? Does it apply to my situation? Do I need to learn something from this situation or reading? So be very conscious when you watch the reading, when you go to professionals, because it is very, very, very important. And recently I had an experience, I'm gonna make another video about it. So I had an experience with a street, psychic. So he approached me, and that's a funny story. I'm gonna do another video on it. So I'm a professional, and I got played. So I'm gonna make another video on how I got played and what they did. It was pretty cool. I'll give them that. So it's, sometimes it's really tough to control even. I'm very, self-conscious person. I know, like, I'm tracking every time because, I know the techniques, I know the tools. So as soon as I see, like, manipulation, I'm like, that's what they're doing, that's what they're doing. So I kind of catch it, right? So also very, like, what's helpful to me is to learn about manipulations, how other people manipulate you, consciously or subconsciously. Sometimes they don't know that they manipulate you, and sometimes they do. So, but for you, it's very important to know how they do it, so you can catch it, so you can, like, nope, doesn't work for me, that's not for me, no, I'm not gonna take this suggestion. So if they tell you something that you don't want, you're like, nope, I'm gonna give it back. That's not mine, that doesn't apply to me. Consciously make a decision. So another reason why it might come true is because you experience very, very strong emotion, and the basic emotion that attracts everything, most of the time it's fear. So fear, if you experience fear, if you're scared of the situation, so let's say you heard something like negative, like someone told you, right, that you're gonna have a fight with your friend, and then you start thinking about it, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna have a fight with my friend, yeah, I'm gonna have a fight with my friend, and then you get scared inside, and you're like, and then this fear, washes over you, and you're like freaking out. So basically, when you do that, when you experience strong emotion, especially fear, our subconscious is attracting that emotion, because we always attract stuff that we need to resolve, that brings up really negative emotion that needs to come out, right? So experiencing fear is not good. So if you have a very strong response as fear, you need to go and you need to work on yourself, either in hypnotherapy, in therapy, or with your friend, figure out how to get rid of this emotion, why it came to you. So ask yourself, why do I experience this fear? Where did it come from, right? So do a little bit of digging, because if you keep experiencing it, if you keep thinking about it, and again, when you're thinking about it, you self-programming yourself, you self-hypnotizing yourself, because, hypnosis is based on repetition as well. So when you repeat over and over, it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. When you keep thinking about it, your brain actually listens and like, well, let's fight with our friend. And then they find a situation where you can have a fight with your friend, right? So very, very important. If you experience very negative emotion about something, please go and dig deeper why you experienced it. Do some journaling, like, I experienced this situation, and then I feel this, and this is coming from blah, 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 blah. Or talk to someone, talk to a professional. If you've been having this fear for a while, hypnotherapy is amazing. Therapy is amazing. And guys, please, I know a lot of people think that therapy, hypnotherapy, or any kind of mental therapy is, I don't know, apparently you have to be in very bad shape in order to do that. Or there's a lot of stigma. There shouldn't be. It's your mental health, it's your mental state. So if anything is bugging you, even the simplest fear, go talk to someone. Go get some help. And getting help is okay, because it's your life. You're actually taking care of your life and your health, and that is very important. The same way, if you have a toothache, you will go to a dentist, right? Because it's hurting. So when you have a very strong fear, it's hurting your mental state. It's hurting your body, because you experience your fear with all the emotions, with all the struggles, all this, negative state that you're constantly in. This is also not good. You gotta go talk to someone, or you gotta do some journaling, you gotta get rid of it. So this is not, I'm getting into advices here. Please. Mental state is very important, and it controls our life. Our subconscious controls our life. So if you're not working with subconscious, if you don't know how it works, you gotta figure out, you gotta do something about it, because it's very important, because you live in your life unconsciously and anything can happen to you. So you gotta take control. And another thing that I wanted to talk about is that why, let's say you experienced emotion, right? And I told you that, some of the reading future doesn't come true. And in this case, they do come true, right? So in the case of not experiencing any emotional attachment whatsoever, no emotion. So let's say, the funny thing that most of the videos that I watch, if I watch them, let's say if I watch something and then, let's say tarot reader says, well, you're going to have a very short travel, right? So you're gonna go somewhere, you're gonna meet some friends, and I don't experience any emotion. I don't get excited like, oh yeah, let's go. I don't get like, oh no, I don't like traveling and all this stuff. I'm like very flat. So flat, no emotion. That's probably, there's a big possibility that this will happen, and I experienced it in my own life. So please give me a comment below if you have the same experience, because I asked a few people, that's what they thought as well, but I really want to hear your opinion. So how is it? So whenever, just try to notice next time. So if you watch something and then what do you feel while you heard this information, and then whether it happened or not, right? So if it correlates, for me it does correlate for sure. So if I know that if I watch the reading and I just listen to the information without any emotional response, For me, most possibly, most likely, it will come true because I don't bring any emotions into it. That's why when we bring emotions, it changes the situation. It gives it some weight. It gives it some, balance, heavy balance or light balance, and then it kind of distorts it, right? But when we don't experience anything, we're like, okay, well, whatever. Whatever. Whether I go, whether I don't go, it doesn't really matter, right? So there's no belonging here. There's no expectation. When you remove expectations completely, that's most possibly will come true because there are no expectations. So expectations are very important. If you don't have any, that's good. I mean, especially if it's really good prediction. So I told you guys that I try not to do like future predictions, like maybe something slight where you want to know information, I'll do it, right? But I won't do like tomorrow you're gonna do this and next week you're gonna do that. I recently done a year prediction, but it's more like advice for each month, so it's not like prediction. So why I don't do it is because for the reason that I told you guys. Sometimes people come to tarot readers, and I had this experience myself as well. And that's why I didn't want to get upset with tarot in general, because sometimes when you watch, first of all, let's start with, one more advice that I want to give you that is very important. Please, if you do watch future predictions, don't do it in hundreds of videos. Just do only one or two. That's it. Best one, and then don't do it for a while. So if let's say you're watching what's gonna happen to me next month, right? Just do only one, and then don't do anything else towards this. Because once you start watching a bunch of videos, then one reader, then another reader, then another, then all this information is like bubbles up together, and your brain is like, boom. Like nothing is gonna happen, and then you cannot make sense of what you watched, and your brain cannot make sense of what you watched, and then it all kind of mushes up together, and then your expectation come into place, and then it completely blurs all the lines and doesn't make sense at all. So don't do it. That's why there's a general rule in reading. If you did a reading on some topic once recently, don't do it again until some time passes. So that's the thing. If you come to one person, then another person, that is not a good. That's not good. Don't do it, please, because it kind of mixes up, and then it creates this so much hassle, so much things like it's not advisable. So when I talk about future readings, right? So let's say why I don't do it is because I've been through a situation where I watch too many, future predictions. I watch one, then I watch another, and then I get all these high expectations, like, well, I'm gonna be a millionaire in half a year, right? And then I'm gonna have this, and I'm gonna have that, and I'm like really excited, and then a few months pass by, a year pass by, and this is not coming true, right? And of course you get upset. I mean, it's okay to feel emotions that that's an expectation, and it didn't happen. So I got really pissed a few times. I'm like, that's it, I'm not gonna do it anymore. So that is why, first of all, I don't like future predictions, because they might or might not come true. But when you have your hopes up, right, when you get high on top with your expectations, with your hopes, you feel so good for some time, and then it's really hard to drop down. It's really hard to fall. It's really sometimes it can be painful if you can manage your emotions well. So now I got better at it, so I'm working on it, and I'm like, okay, I'm not watching too many spreads, and then in general I don't watch future predictions at all, just sometimes to check whether it works or not, and to confirm my theories in real life, right, in real example, just to make connections and everything, because whatever I'm telling you right now, it all comes from my personal experience, what I've noticed and what I've noticed with other people, right, from my experience in general. So if you know how to manage your emotions, if you don't have any expectations, maybe you can do it. But if you get very suggestible, if you're very gullible, if you believe everything that people say, if you don't filter the information, if you just watch whatever and believe the person, first, and if someone tells you go jump off the bridge, you go jump off the bridge, right, without filtering the information. I'm exaggerating. So if someone tells you go jump off the bridge, don't do it, please. I'm just telling you that it's not okay to listen. Even the expert, you still have to filter the information and apply what works for you and what doesn't work for you. So even if you watch my reading, guys, if something doesn't sit well with you, maybe that's not your stone, maybe that's not your reading in general. So please filter and find only stuff that, you know, resonates with you, that you think is helpful for you, that you think, you know, gives you benefits. Even sometimes you're working with a negative emotion, but, you know, once you work them through, work them out, right, you feel better. So whether it brings you benefit or not, but if it doesn't, please find something else that works for you. So again, for me, it was really hard to fall from and that's the problem with, I followed a few very positive channels. So they're like, I call them, you know, rainbow, rosy, sugary tarot readers, right? And every time you come, they're like, amazing energies come to you and your life will be amazing and everything good come to you, and like, you know, it's like so sweet. Sometimes it's like too sweet for me, because I'm kind of, you know, I know my negative emotions, I know my positive emotions. So sometimes it's when it gets into a certain when it gets too much of something, then it becomes imbalanced, right? So that's why those readings are good. They're amazing because they reprogram. Again, remember guys, if you listen to it over and over, they reprogram your subconscious mind if you're suggestible for a better state, right? So if someone tells you your life is going to be amazing, your life is going to be amazing, your life is going to be amazing, there's a big chance that it will improve, that it works for your benefit, right? But at the same time, if you have high expectation, if you have something like, okay, this reader, if you give responsibility for your life to a tarot reader or to other professional, right, you're gonna have some struggles because, well, this tarot reader told me that my life is gonna be awesome, and then it's not awesome right now, so they lied to me, and then you start blaming, you know, that professional for your life, for your problems, for whatever it is, and that's not a good state to be. It's more like a victim mentality state. So that is why for me, I do it, but I do it, would you say it, you know, with moderation. Everything has to be with moderation. So if you do too much of the good stuff, sometimes you burn out. So it needs to have moderation. If you work with only negative stuff, you also burn out. So moderation, being positive and working on your, you know, negative emotions, because you gotta experience your negative emotions, is very important. Because if you bubble up the negative emotion and say, well, I'm all enlightened, now I don't experience any bad stuff, you do. You just don't know that you do. So you need to be self-aware. You need to process those emotional states in order to get rid of them. So just being in, you know, how would you say, in this, you know, not enlightened is good. Just being into this, you know, rosy state, thinking that everything is amazing when your life is falling apart, right? I mean, it's helpful to get that kind of reprogramming, but at the same time, if you're not changing anything in your life and you see me like, my life is amazing, but I'm not doing anything to change it, it might not change. So that is why it's very important to be very, like, to keep the balance. And be working with your negative emotions. If you experience any, most people do. If you don't, that will be strange. And also, you know, putting some positive programming and watching once in a while those, you know, sugary rainbow tarot readers that tell you everything is gonna be amazing and so cool, and, you know, positive energies only. I'm a strong believer that, you know, working with your shadows, working and discovering your shadows is very powerful, because I used to be, you know, that kind of person that I still believe in love, and I still believe that world is a good place, but eventually my, you know, rose glasses got broken inside, unfortunately, and it got very painful because I didn't want to see the world the way it is, and sometimes it's not pretty, and sometimes it's not, and sometimes it's a terrible place, and terrible things happen in this world, and it's really hard to accept. But unless you look in your own shadows and inside yourself, unless you work with your shadows, with your negative emotions. And I say shadows and negative emotions interchangeably, right? Because those are the things that bring us down, that stop us from achieving our dreams, from getting happy and being happy, right? So for me, I like to do shadow work. And as you guys see, a few of, I have a few decks that are shadow decks, and I like to balance the energy. So if I'm working with very, uplifting energy deck, at the same time, I will still do a little bit of shadow work in order to find out what can be stopping you, what can be, stopping you from what you want to achieve, right? Because it's very important to know ourselves on a deeper level, where those are good things or those are not so good things that we don't like about ourselves or don't accept in ourselves, right? So accepting and liking whatever it is inside of you is very important. So I strongly believe in that, and I went through very good online tarot therapy. And I'm actually sharing my story in this video, so if you guys want to watch it a little bit about my tarot journey, how I got there. I also talk about a few tarot readers that I watched during my time, right, and what I experienced. So that helped me a lot in my psychological state, which is amazing because I never really put psychology and tarot together. So that's very cool. Like, it was mind-blowing. And please remember, yes, the most important stuff, the most important thing that I have to mention, right? I think I mentioned it a little bit before, but still, and this video is getting longer and longer. You have free will. And if you watch a reading, if you're doing the reading with someone doing the reading for you, you have the right to choose whether to accept this information, not to accept it, and then make steps to change it. So if you hear something that you don't like, well, make some steps to change it. Make some steps to actually improve the situation. Make some steps so you can change your life. You have free will. You have the right to choose whatever you want in your life. You have the right to do any actions and improve yourself and do anything to improve your life. So please, if you don't like something, just say I don't accept it, and then change your life. So if it's affecting your life, then start changing yourself, working on yourself. And I'm telling you guys, this is from a personal experience. This is from experience that I've seen with other people. Once you start understanding yourself better, once you work with these shadows, once you start accepting, loving yourself, once you know a little bit more about psychology and the way our mind and subconscious mind works, it is life-changing. I used to be in this constant state of struggle, of being a victim, of my life was terrible for many, many years. It was depressing. I was constantly depressed. I was constantly tired. I didn't have life purpose. I didn't have anything. So once I started discovering myself and learning about myself and working with my subconscious to change my programming and do all of these things and learn and discover different tools, it's been a journey. First of all, it was a very interesting journey. And second of all, it's before and after. So before, it was like I was living on the, bottom of the ocean. I couldn't do anything. I was constantly down. I was constantly upset. And now I finally enjoy life. I finally live my life. I finally can do things. I dream. I experience it. I'm happy. I'm excited to live. So nothing is weighing me down anymore because of working on myself, with my subconscious programming, finding different tools how to, improve my life, change the situation. So this mental change, people go to doctors to change the physical state, but going to a doctor to change your mental state, and can be psychologist or any other professional that you prefer, is so important. It's like life-changing, because it's so funny when people they put so much importance on the body, and body, of course, it's important, it's carrying us, but what is making all these decisions? What is controlling your life? It's not someone else, it's not something else, it's your mind that is making the decision. It's accepting the situation or assessing the situation, and this assessment, depending on what you know and depending on what you do, it can change. So you can react to the same situation and be okay or be happy or get some lessons, or you can be miserable, you can be a victim, your life can change completely just by the way you think about it. Completely, like before and after. I told you guys, this is from experience. Before it was miserable, before it was terrible, and I every day I say blessing to universe that it led me through this journey, because it wasn't good. Now finally it's amazing. Finally I'm living my life. Finally I'm doing something I'm excited about. Finally I'm getting where I want to be. So please, get to know yourself better. Your shadows, your good side, your bad side, whatever you can do to discover yourself, because discovering yourself is so fun and it's so amazing. And every time you do it, getting to know yourself better and better. The person that you live with your whole life. Other people might come and go, even family, they might come and go, but you are the only person that live with you your whole life. So you gotta get to know yourself better. You gotta get to know yourself better, and whether it's gonna be tarot, where it's gonna be spirituality, where it's gonna be psychology, where it's gonna be something else that you want to try out, just go and try it, and change your life, change your perception, change your reality. So it is so important, because and every time you go and try to solve something and do something to change yourself, you discover yourself more and more, and you get to know yourself better. And this is amazing, because you're building a beautiful relationship with your own self, and you're getting to know yourself better. So this is priceless. This is priceless, because not so many people think about it. Not so many people think that they need to get to know themselves. They need to get to know their boyfriends or family or whatever. They put so much attention into it. But the first and number one thing, you need to get to know the person you live and you will be living your whole life with. It's you. So please do it. And I'm really excited, and I think this video has been way too long. And if you watched this point, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed and you got something important from it. I'm sharing my experiences, and I'm sharing stuff that I know that helped me in my life. So it's very important for me to share, and that's why I took some time before I'm going out today right now to actually do it and to share. So hit like, subscribe. It really helps the channel to promote it, and so this video can be seen by other people, and maybe it can help someone else. Share your experiences, share what you think about my thoughts, whether it works in your life, whether it doesn't work, because there's so many different thoughts, and it doesn't mean that I'm right, it doesn't mean that I'm wrong, it can be anything. So share your experience and tell us what you think, what's your experience, and whether you're getting to know yourself better or not, whether you're excited to get to know yourself better or not. And what you do it with tarot, with psychology, with listening to, some coaches on YouTube. Like, what is your strategy, what you're excited about, what you're passionate about? I would like to get to know you guys. So I'm really excited to see your comment, and I'll see you in the next videos.